That was weird. All right, let's get this thing kicked off here, and anybody else who joins in, we'll be able to pick up where we're at. All right, I'm going to start this off. Alex, thank you again for joining us. Kettlebell Gains Apparel, as you all know, a true influencer on the culture of kettlebells right now, I would say, judging by the T-shirts that I see all over the place. And you'll have to correct me if I'm wrong, but so you've been training with kettlebells for about 8 years. Your pops get you a bell and kind of got you into it. Anything else you want to add about your kettlebell journey real quick before we get into these hard-hitting questions?
Yeah, that's pretty much how it started. My dad gave me a kettlebell with no instruction, just said happy birthday. It kind of collected dust for a few years, and I took it more serious once I got on social media and found some people that were interested in doing it, because there were none in my area at that time that were interested in doing kettlebell training. But yeah, took it more and more serious over the years, and keep learning as I go. The journey never ends. It's a marathon, you know?
Straight up. Ain't that the truth? Well, that kind of leads into this first question, and I'll go ahead and kick it off, and we'll kind of just see how these goes. And you've got a mix of styles that we see you doing, and then things you do. Do you have a preference to any particular style in your kettlebell training?
What do you mean? Like, do I like hardstyle, or do I like sports style, or what do you mean as far as?
Well, yeah, that, and we see you with you'll do some juggling type stuff, and you got some different accessory work that we see around. But what do you gravitate towards most as your foundation?
A lot of stuff that people don't see is I definitely love hardstyle. I was first introduced in sport, so I understand sport. But yeah, hardstyle is really what I gravitate to. A lot of the juggling stuff is just fun to do. It's almost like a basketball player. They can do the basics, the fundamentals, but a nice crossover, throw it through the legs, behind the back pass. It's always fun to do. So sometimes juggling, things of that nature, it kind of makes your workout a little more fun, because sometimes the fundamentals of hardstyle can just be pretty daunting. So being able to switch it up. But yeah, a lot of my training is pretty much skill-based, with delving deep into hardstyle. Also calisthenics. I love calisthenics. I used to compete in calisthenic competitions earlier. My body can't take it anymore. The reps are just ridiculous. But yeah, I love calisthenics training. I love kettlebell training. And yeah, I love getting better at certain skills. My cleans have gotten better. My snatches have gotten better. It's one of the things that you can constantly work on and then look back a year later and feel you didn't know shit a year ago. You know what I mean?
And yeah, that's the truth. That's the truth.
Let's go off of that. So if you were to pick one right now, your clean or your snatch, because I love to talk about the details. Which one are you working on more? What are you struggling with?
I'm working on both. The snatch and the clean. The snatch can always be better and better. I love cleans, so I tend to work on cleans more. But yeah, I'm having more problem with the snatch, but it's gotten better. It's gotten a whole lot better.
What's wrong?
Honestly, well, when I have a mirror in front of me, I can dissect everything I'm doing wrong. A lot of times when I'm doing it out, I can't really cue myself. So it's always good to be around other people, to tell me if it's if it's arcing out a little too much, if my hinge is too shallow, things of that nature.
Got it. Who do you usually work with as far as do you have a coach? Do you have someone you train with pretty regularly?
I have a lot of good people around me. So a lot of it I do myself, but I do work with Sam Sayaka. She's great. And she's mainly the one person I really look to as far as cueing and dialing in on certain techniques, because she really dives deep into it, and she's local. So I tend to pick her brain a whole lot and let her tell me what's going on, what's going wrong. And she's SFG level 2, based here in New York.
Yeah, we had Rich Alvarez on a couple weeks back.
Yeah, yeah, her boyfriend. Yeah, Rich is great too. He's a strong guy, man. Pound for pound, he's a really strong guy.
Very cool. So struggling with the clean and the snatch now, if you're going to get feedback from her, what is she telling you most often? What is she going to tell you to work on? Is she going to tell you the arc? What are you struggling with more?
With the snatch, it's the arc. So I tend to focus from working from the top down, trying to keep it closer and closer to me. I mean, the struggles really come once you get past 40, 50 reps. Then
Okay,
things start to move out. So I'm really trying to focus on blocks. 20, keeping it in. Another
okay,
20, keeping it in. So I can, as it goes up, I can still the last 80, 80 to 100 will look like the first 1 to 20.
got it.
So, the form tends to go out the window as you get fatigued. So I'm really trying to work on in that fatigue zone. So I try and get into a fatigue zone and then really start looking for cues once I get past that mark so I
Got
can
it.
try and dial it in and
So
figure out
okay.
so I can physically feel when it's getting away from me, you know.
So how tall are you? You look like you're about 8'6".
No, I'm only 6'1".
Okay. Well,
Oh, only
everyone's
six
tall.
one. Okay.
Everyone's tall compared to me. I look at body type a lot, especially when we're dealing with when we're dealing with arc, we're dealing with long legs. I've noticed that some long-legged, long-armed people have a hard time with that arc. That's why I'm asking. So okay, so I like that strategy. So you go to a point where you're in a sense going to force yourself to break down a little bit, and then the things you need to work on kind of reveal themselves.
Exactly, exactly. That's one of the good things of recording yourself, and also when you have a chance to get around some good people, put yourself in uncomfortable positions so they can help make you better.
So when you're working to get to that fatigue, are you using specifically snatches to get there? Or are you going to work the swing to get you fatigued and then start to work with snatch while it's crisp? Or which way do you prefer? How do you get into that fatigue level?
It's usually swings. It's usually
Okay.
swings or heavy swings. I may put a 5 minute timer on and get in some heavy swings, some single arm swings, no snatches. Just really get
Hmm.
to a point where my heart rate is up there and then really jump into a block of 20 snatches,
Got it.
short rest, and then try and get another block of 20. And usually in the second block of 20,
That's when it
right
starts to
in the
break down.
yeah, I'm definitely in a high heart rate, so the form is getting away from me. So right there is really when I try and dial in and focus on, you know, where it's going, just so I can feel what my body is doing in that moment.
Are you now I see a lot of stuff with the Sunday swings. Do you guys do a lot of snatch work there? Do you coach people through things through snatches, or are you mainly focused on swings when you're there?
A lot of the time, since there's so many people, we focus on. It's more so what we're doing now, and compared to what we did last summer. Last summer was more everybody who showed up were all trainers,
Okay.
so it was all about strength in numbers, getting better together. Someone knew more than the next person. Someone was better at this, someone else. We all got stronger and better together. This time around, you know, a lot of people wanted to work out with us, so it's more so about uh, getting people more into kettlebell training, letting people see it firsthand, letting people come out and experience it and have a good workout. Community building, it's not really stressed on technique all the time because you can't really have that with, 25, 30 people. So,
No.
yeah, a lot of times, there'll be some newbies there. So we'll make we'll scale it for them, you know, but a lot of the stuff is super basic, you know.
Okay. So it's
We
not. Now, what about other do you coach other people on the side?
No, I do apparel full time.
Hmm.
I've been asked to do some coaching, but apparel and also my two boys take up a lot of time. So yeah, I really don't have too much time for that. But yeah,
Makes a lot of
I do
sense.
like coaching, and occasionally I do some on the side.
Okay, so we were looking through a lot of the stuff you do. One thing that stands out is things with gigantic kettlebells. Um, what do you what do you do? Do you have any rules, guidelines, suggestions? What do you do to vary your loading, your intensity, or do you just say, "Hey, that's a really fucking heavy thing. I'm going to go over there and swing it." Um, does anything stop you or get in your way, or you just want to pick heavy things up and see what happens?
No, I mean, yeah, I mean, yeah, I mean, some of the things you see, I know a lot of people like to see the heavy stuff, so I'll post that. But a lot of my workouts don't consist. I may go heavy once a week, if that. I have a 220-pound kettlebell. I mean, I don't use it that much at all.
Yeah.
Unless it's just for deadlifts or occasionally swings and stuff like that. But yeah, a lot of the heavy stuff, I use it maybe once a week. A lot of the rest of the training is just skill based.
Yeah,
So yeah,
let's talk
I
a
mean,
little bit of let's talk a
yeah,
little
with
bit
that,
about your let's talk a little bit about your training. Like, what are you on a program, or do you just kind of go off how your body feels? How do you determine what your training is?
currently I have kettlebell training 3 days a week, and the other two is weight training and calisthenic training. It's more so 70-30. So it's more calisthenic and 30% weight training. So it's usually one day of kettlebell training. The next day is weights and calisthenics. I'll get a day off and then do the same thing again. And then one day of kettlebell training. That's usually on the weekend, something light. That's usually my split. And one day is usually heavy, and that's usually on Thursday. That was yesterday, right? No, today's Thursday.
Today's Thursday. Yeah, get
Yeah,
after
I
it.
worked out. I worked out yesterday because I knew I had to be on here today. But yeah, yesterday was heavy. So yesterday we went heavy, heavy cleans, heavy swings, uh, pretty much with the 48. Nothing heavier than that.
So would you say load management? Because what I'm hearing a lot, which makes a lot of sense, and I do in my training too, because I'm 75 and I've been training for a long time, so I've got to make sure that I've got the longevity. Would you say that managing your load, your intensity is key to maintaining that longevity, or do you have any other tricks?
It definitely is for me. It definitely is for me. That's the only reason why I like to go heavy just once a week, because I used to do it twice, and it would just wear me down. I am older nowadays, so so yeah, definitely tempering it off to just one day and focus on skill training the rest, and calisthenic trainings, which I love. So that also helps me out a lot as well. I love pull-ups, sit-ups, push-ups, you name it.
Yeah, it's I think that's pretty valuable because I think a lot of people want to go heavy all the time. And it doesn't work. It doesn't work for the long game. All the coaches I know who have been doing this for a long time, they've got a mix. They can do some pretty impressive things, but they also take advantage of the tool. Kettlebells will allow a ton of recovery. You generally don't get that sore with kettlebell training relative to barbell training. Um, and taking advantage of the physics of the bell, you can use a much much lighter bell, get the same result, which I think is pretty awesome. Um, so Jeremiah actually had a question. I'm going to ask it now, which is stealing. You
Oh,
have a
it's a gift.
you have a skill. If you were to pick a kettlebell skill that you think is the most underrated, the thing that more people should do that they don't do, what is it?
Turkish get up.
Okay.
I knew it. I knew you'd say that, Alex. I don't know why, but I knew it.
Okay, now you got to tell us why.
I think the Turkish get up is amazing. It's a full body workout. It's a full body workout, and it has so many components to it that you can always be working on. And when I'm short on time, it's Turkish get ups. If I need a good workout, Turkish get ups. Sometimes it's I use Turkish get-ups as warm-up. I love Turkish get-ups. I don't post a lot of them, but I love Turkish get-ups. I think more people should do them, and more people should really dial into each transition. You know what I mean?
Is that something you guys could cover in your Sunday class or any of those group sessions you guys have going on? Is that something you guys cover or?
Yeah, we actually did a Turkish get up mini workshop a few weeks ago, and yeah, it's not something you can do in 90 minutes.
No.
No.
I mean, like you said, you could break that down. I mean, there's so many parts to it, so you could string it along for a long way. If we took all the parts, what part do you see like in maybe in your training or in the training you see of others that is like the biggest struggle in the getup? Which part do you think is the biggest struggle?
From what I know, is from a lot of people, it's the beginning, hand placement, and leg placement.
Okay.
A lot of people are not at a 45. You know, I see a lot of people, they'll have their legs straight, and sometimes it's your planted foot. I mean, it's usually right in the beginning. You can see it. When someone sets up, you can tell. Okay, you can see the holes. You can see the leaks already. So usually, I mean, when we had ours, we started with just body weight, and we started just breaking down, getting in position from the child pose, hand placement, foot placement, heel placement, and just work back from there, back to it, and then focus on the roll, what they should be feeling, because everybody is going to feel it a lot differently. Some people's heel may be towards, their glutes a little more, some a little further away. It all depends on your mobility as well. So it's always something you can really dial in. But yeah, I see a lot of mistakes from a lot of people. It's really just in the setup. As soon as they get the bell overhead.
Take us through your setup, because it seems like you've got a pretty particular setup, something that you want to see. I'm curious. What are you looking for specifically?
Well, when someone gets into position, then they get it from the child's pose and they press that bell up, and then they put whether the bell is in your right hand, and they get that arm at a 45. Some have it here when it should be down here. Some people's leg, if this were your two legs, you have one out. Some people just have it here. The more ground you can cover, depending on how big you are, the more balance you will have. So if your leg needs to go a little wider and you keep that heel, find that placement for that heel, whether it needs to be further back, off to the side. So when you push off that heel, it's an easier roll. So those are the things I look for. I try and get people into those positions and then let's focus on that roll. Push through that heel. Now, where do you feel it? It's almost like when you're pushing through that heel, if you can kind of get you're almost doing a glute bridge. If you can really feel it, that's where you need to be. Sure. So I try and get people to really focus on that heel so they can figure out where to push from, because that's your gas and your brake. It's going to push you off to speed you up, but it's also on your way down. It's going to slow you down. So finding that good foot placement can really be key, especially when you're trying to move something heavier.
Okay, so now if we're getting even more specific, so what I hear you saying, and if I'm wrong, tell me no and call me some names. It sounds like you don't want the leg crowding you. So let's say you're doing a right get up, you're on your right heel. You want that left leg out to the side, so you're not crowded. Basically, you're giving yourself room to roll.
Exactly.
Okay, so you're not going to do a stupid sit up. Another thing too. Another thing too is, we'd like to play with physics and center of mass. And if you're looking at the get up from the top down, if you've got that bell in your right hand, most of your mass is going to be in that right arm, and you want to transition that over to your left. And the farther you can stick your leg over that midline, the closer you can get the left, or the farther you can get that left leg over the side, the easier that roll is going to be, because you're putting more weight over there. So, those are some pretty sound tips, and they make a lot of sense. They're also not restrictive. I hear a lot of cues that are very personally. I don't care much about the angle. I just care whether it's enough. We
Hmm.
get a lot of cues that tend to be restrictive. Put your hand here, put your hand there, and those don't work for everybody. But those two tips generally do. If you want to move a big bell, you got to get out of your own way, and you have to get as much of your center mass over that line as you can to give yourself an advantage. Now, the another thing that I really like that you pointed out was getting that heel nice and high if you need to. Get it where it needs to be. A lot of people think the foot needs to be at a particular spot. So it's a really solid tip. Getting as much out of that right, if you're doing a right get up, as much out of that right hip as possible, because people miss that, and that's when that ugly sit up thing happens. So that's solid stuff. Thanks for sharing that.
I
Yeah,
also
yeah.
like
That's
the
go
I
ahead.
also like the analogy of the gas and the brake. I think that's like a pretty solid cue to kind of help translate into getting into that role and coming back out of it. And I think also a good analogy, man. That was pretty solid.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, usually when I try and coach people, especially on the get up, is uh, making sure they feel it. A lot of people, they hear your cues, they hear what you're saying, but if they don't feel it, uh, it's going to be hard for them to remember. You know what I mean? So the same thing you said, not really about hand placement, foot placement, is what works for that person. So those are the things I try and get across to people. What are you feeling? Do you feel this? Is this better for you? Then put it here. You know what I mean? Because me, when I put my heel, I'm off to the side more. You know what I mean? I know some people can really get it close to that glute and move fine. So those are the things I try and get people to do. Put it here, one. Put it here, two. Put it here, three. Which one is better? And then you dial it in to figure
Right.
out where you need to be. You know what I mean? To make sure you get that roll. And also another one is the hinge. A lot of people don't hinge when they're in the kneeling position. You know what I mean? And if you got a lot of weight overhead, you got to make sure you hinge back towards that heel. That's a common mistake I see a lot of people do. But all those things are fixable. But that's one of the reasons why the Turkish get up is so great. It's so many factors to it. And learning how to, you know, do it perfect with lightweight, and also learn how to move a lot faster with heavyweight. That's one of the things I worked on with a friend of mine, Sunita, who was a straight badass, and I'm trying to get her to do a Turkish get up with a 40. She can do a 36, but he was really focusing on her about just moving quicker, like an athlete. You know what I mean?
No, no, no. Let's. I want to talk about that. So what do you mean about moving quicker? What part specifically? Are you talking about during the get up?
Yes, during the get up, because
Okay.
if you have a 40, anything, you have a 30s, anything that's heavier than your normal,
Hmm.
you know, you don't want to hold on to it. It's more than you have to.
Okay.
It puts a lot of stress on your wrist, shoulder, you know. So with her, what we was trying to do is, as soon as she gets it pressed up and she's ready to go, right? Not necessarily waiting for that, putting that hand down and then rolling. It's more so of a press it up, let's go.
Okay.
Move it quick, move it fast, move it quick. Some people want to wait, but when you have such a heavy load that's not normal, I feel, me personally, is to move faster, because you'll get it up, you'll put your hand down, and then all of a sudden your mind will take over and you won't move, or be too hard to move, or you think you can't get it, the leg will start to raise. Me personally, I feel if you're going to go heavy, as soon as you get that bell up, already start thinking, I'm getting ready to go. So everything is in place. Press it up, your heel is ready. You feel that gas. Your leg is out. All you're doing is putting your elbow down and you're moving.
Okay.
But that's just me personally. Other people have different styles of it, but I feel when you're gonna be moving something pretty heavy, I think it's just to move a little quicker off the floor. You can get to that elbow much faster. Once you get to the elbow, I think everything else is downhill.
Well, it makes a lot of sense when you get into some basic physiology stuff. And my strong suit's not really physiology, but you know, get-ups can take a while. It's not a quick movement. I mean, even if you rush through one, it's not a quick. It's not a snatch. So you start getting into these different energy systems, and you're on the clock. So it makes a lot of sense. So you're certainly not advocating rushing through, but if you're looking to move something big, get it up, do what you need to do, get in the right position, and don't let it linger. So that makes a lot of sense. No, I appreciate.
Yeah,
Yeah,
let me just correct that. Yeah, I don't mean rushing through the whole movement,
sure.
but I do mean getting to that elbow
Hmm.
quickly.
Got it.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I
So
mean? Because
the
once you get to the
transitions.
once you get to the elbow, everything else can click. You know what I mean? You're still taking the same steps if you had a 24 or 16, same pace. But I feel the hardest part for a lot of people when they really try and get something heavy is getting to that elbow. So
Yeah.
I feel, so I feel like if because I feel like it's almost powering up a computer. You know what I mean? That probably takes the most energy out of your batteries, powering up anything. So I feel if you can really get to that elbow, that first part takes most of your energy. Just getting in position, getting to that elbow will probably take you 30% of your energy. So I feel if you get there faster, then it makes things a lot easier to the next position, getting to the palm, to the knee, the sweep.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense. Now you're off leg. So let's say you're doing a right get up, and someone goes into the roll. That left leg lifts. What do you do? Are you? I want to know because this is like a personal preference. If my leg lifts and Jeremiah's there, he'll actually kick me. He's really savage when it comes to that leg. He won't let it lift. I'm half kidding, but there are some people who have really strong feelings about that off leg lifting. How do you feel about that?
Um, I'm a good 70-30. I don't want to see it lift up, but I understand it can happen. So it kind of all depends on what weight you're using.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Then usually for a lot of people, if I'm there, I'm standing right by that leg and I have my foot against it.
Oh, wow. Okay. So you'll kick people
So more
sometimes.
savage than me. Okay.
Yeah, well, I won't really kick people, but I'll let them feel that my foot is by their foot, so they'll want to keep it engaged and keep that quad engaged. You know what I mean? So usually
Yeah.
we start to build up towards that. You know what I mean? Because some people will have a lot of because that's also another thing that you may see with a lot of people. There's certain parts of their body that's not engaged. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
that's one of the things. Sometimes you tell people keep tension, keep tension. But if that cue is not working, find another cue. You know what I mean? If you're trying to
Or
tell them
kick
keep
them.
that tension in that leg and it's still bent. Only thing they're keeping tension is their foot. Find another cue. You know what I mean? So there's certain things that's the reason why I say you always got to try and get people into the feeling.
Hmm.
What are they feeling? Are you feeling it? Are you feeling this? So when they start to move, things become a lot clearer to them. You know what I mean?
I think that's a good jump off point for another question I have is where did you get the bulk of your information? I'm really interested in the idea of queuing. I don't have an attachment to any of them. A queue is good if it works, period. But there are certain schools, there are certain organizations. They have a specific um, kind of group of this is how you do this is how you do that, and I'm gonna ask you another question about that a little bit later, but where did you get most of your information?
Uh, my information, I guess, is like a gumbo. I get it from a lot of people. I'm pretty receptive. So being around people and you can you always have to keep switching it up for that person. You know what I mean? So I like being around different people. And I like, I tell people, even if I'm around, if I say something or if something doesn't seem right, tell me. You know what I mean? Because when you you can coach people that are on a certain level, and you get kind of familiar with those kinds of those clients, and then sometimes you're around, lack of a better term, savages, and you then realize some of your cues may not work on my friend Rebecca Rouse. She's stronger than a lot of guys. You know what I mean? She's amazing. You know what I mean? And I know I had a class, and we were doing farmer carries, and I was like, all right, guys can pick these bells, the ladies can pick these bells. And you know what? She checked me right on the spot. You know what I'm saying? But that's what I tell people to do. You know what I mean? Because sometimes you do things, you say things unconsciously, because I wasn't expecting her to do farmer carries with 40s. You know what I mean? But there are people that can do amazing things. And sometimes you don't want to take away somebody's confidence by saying, okay, these weights are for you and these weights are for this person. So we always used to say weights have no gender. Pick what you think you can do. Don't hurt yourself, but let's get after it. So yeah, I tend to learn from everybody.
Okay.
You know what I mean? I tend to use my cues, but then I also try and find what that person is going to respond to. You know what I mean? A good friend of mine, Amber, in Atlanta, when she's teaching some of her clients who don't know anything about kettlebells, when she's teaching the clean, she's like, act like you're clutching your pearls. You know what I mean? I thought that was a pretty good cue, and it works for her clients. So it's different things when you're around different people. If you can figure out something that's going to work for them, even if you know them, if they have a certain drink they like, a certain rock band they like, or certain or whatever, they watch sports or baseball. There's something in there where you can bridge it so they can understand it more. And you also get cues from other people that they use. You can throw them in your bag, and then so if you feel you need to pull it out, so it's all like a toolbox. You keep the fundamental cues, and then you can also add some extra ones in there, because kettlebells scare people.
Yeah, they do.
A lot of people, especially when it's going overhead, and so it's always good to give people cues that can break the ice a little bit. That could be a little left field. That could be a little fun, and they can actually get it a lot faster.
Is there one you hate? Is there a least favorite cue that makes you just want to kick people doing get-ups and spit and swear?
Pack the lats.
Okay.
I guess
That was rich, yeah.
Yeah, same.
I guess pack the lats. Pack the lats can be a little. It can be overused.
Why do you hate it? And why do you hate people who say it?
Well, I mean, I think a lot of people say it because other people say it. You know what I mean? It becomes one of those things that, okay, I'm coaching. Yeah, pack the lats. But yeah, like I said, I don't like using it that often, because you'll be around a lot of people who don't know where their lat is, and you tell them, "Hey, pack your lats, pack your lats." They're like, "Over here? Is it here?" Yeah, they're packed. I can feel it, and it's just like, no, So then then it becomes okay, let's get a band out and let's find your lat. You know what I mean? I'm gonna show you where your lat is, so you can kind of get people to understand what you're talking about. Because like I think more so with coaching, my personal experience is, are they feeling it? Are they feeling what you're telling them to do? If they can't feel it, they can't identify it, they're going to do it incorrectly. And it doesn't matter what you tell them. If you tell them, bring your shoulders back, when the swing is all the way out there and the shoulders way too far out, you have to make sure that they're actually feeling what you're telling them, because they can't see it, if they're not in front of a mirror, or if you don't have a mirror right in front of them, say, hey, see your shoulder? Just bring that back in some. Do this some. So that there's certain things you can tell somebody, but if after the second time they're not really getting it, then you may just want to strip it down. Okay, just take the bell away. I'm going to show you what you're doing, what you need to be doing. Here are some ways we can get there, and I'm big on, like I said, do you feel it? Do you actually feel what I'm talking about? Because that's because that what really works for me. If I'm actually feeling it, if this is firing, where am I supposed to be? Foot placement, coming from somebody who had bad knees growing up playing sports, foot placement is huge. Midfoot, big toe, there's certain things that I look at and want someone to focus on and not just overlook it. But all those things I forgot the question, but I know I ran on for a minute.
No, it was good.
It was
good. We feel
you.
you.
Because I mean, what I heard is something that that we preach, we really agree with, is that a lot of these cues come from people and they made sense at one point, probably, but then a coach hears it and then they start teaching it, and sooner or later you have an IG post that says that they can teach you how to do a kettlebell swing in a single post. Just look at this picture and do all of these things, and there you go. You can do a kettlebell swing, which is fundamentally ridiculous. I don't know a single person who hasn't done a swing for years who's thought that they really had at least one or two good swings along the way. It takes a long time. And I think a lot of these cues make sense initially, then they get handed down. And there seems to be a common theme in your training and in your coaching, which also makes a lot of sense, is that you need to create context for somebody. Coaching is not about you. It's not about you standing there talking about all don't talk about neutral spine or packing lats or anything like that if that doesn't make sense to the person you're working with. You have to, it's about them. They have to feel what it is you're trying to do. So I agree. I think that the pack the lats cue, although I think I understand what people are going for, I think they missed the boat. And I think that they really are just kind of recycling. They're not sure where the shoulder should be, where the scapula should be. Forget about the fact that most people who come to kettlebells already have lats that are already packed, and they probably don't need more tension there. It's probably making them weaker. It's not making them stronger. They don't know how to assess a shoulder, whether it's internally, externally rotated, what's going on through the neck, how does the neck affect the hips, blah, 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 blah. And they're just throwing out a generic pack the lat and expecting your swings to suddenly not look awful, and it doesn't happen. So you were coherent, I promise.
Good.
Yeah, excellent. And there's a lot of gems in there, and Roger summed it up pretty well as far as like knowing the people you're with and being able to make that connection to pass those cues along. We got a few people on here today, and if you're cool, if anybody has any questions, I'd like to open it up to some people that have some kettlebell related questions for Alex. I don't know how I'm going to organize this so that it's not a bunch of chaos, but if you want to chime in, go ahead and unmute yourself and ask a question. Please don't be mad if other people jump on you.
Let's do it, man.
Let's go. Who we got? All right. So far,
they're lining up right now.
Damn,
they're lining up.
I oversold that. I guess I was like, oh, too many people are going to talk, but it turns out nobody's going to talk.
I'll kick off. Here.
All right, let's go. Yeah, let's go.
So just circling back, you talked a little bit about Sunday swings, how you kind of started that journey last year, just with kind of you and the coaches getting out there. And I assume it just came out of love of getting a group of like-minded people together just to work out. How did that genesis transform into what you're doing now and in that community that you've expanded to?
Who's asking the question here? Is that
It's
Declan?
Declan. It's Declan.
Oh,
Yeah.
That's Declan.
Yeah, ask the question. State your name so I can figure out who it is.
That's right. Where are you from? No.
I'm sorry, Declan. So you were asking how did it start, or?
Yeah, just so how did it start, and then the natural progression of where it is today? Like, what was that genesis to get it from year one, and kind of just working with your fellow kettlebell coaches and just getting workout into expanding it to a larger community?
Well, it started basically during COVID. Gyms were closed here. I had a bunch of bells, and a friend of mine, Vic, we kind of started it together. He came from Cali and was like, man, I want to get a workout. I was like, just come by. We worked out in my building has a covered garage. So I was just like, I'll bring all my bells downstairs. We'll get a workout. And then another friend of ours, Shay in Florida, he joined us. It was just all three of us. And we was just like, man, we should do this every week. That's pretty much how it started, with just 3 people. And then some more showed up and some more showed up. I used to cap it at 7 on Sundays in my garage. And then my building kicked me out for liability reasons. They were like, this is looking like a gym now. So then it moved to the park last July. And it was just fellow kettlebell enthusiasts, trainers alike, who will come and just want to work out because nobody had access to anything. And so we just kept it going every Sunday, even over the winter. A friend of ours owned a gym. He let us use his gym on Sundays. His name is actually Jim. And to where it is now, we kind of just wanted to do more in the community. As far as we live in New York, a lot of people that are interested in kettlebell training in New York. And we know so many great coaches. So it's almost like we wanted to highlight certain coaches, do some collaborations, also bring people out so they can also meet one another. And it just seemed like the right time that I think July 4th is when New York officially opened 100%. So it's kind of like along those lines. New York is finally open. Let's get people back out. Let's get people in front of one another again. Let's get people meeting people that they took their Zoom classes for the past year. And let's just get some people out, have some fun, swing some bells, the energy, the people around, to create more community, and it'll also pique the interest of people wanting to take it more seriously. And that was basically the whole thing of bringing it to where it is now this summer. And come the fall, we'll be back in Nerd Show doing the same thing. But we really wanted to capitalize on the summer and really just get in front of some people and, put some great coaches out there to collaborate with. And because, like I said, past year, a lot of people have seen some of these people just online or whatever. So being actually to come out and actually see some folks that you may have admired or wanted to take their class or couldn't, on a Sunday outside, it's awesome. Hope that answers the question.
No, it does. Great. Thanks.
Yeah, I can dig it. I think one of the things that I really like to see when I look at the posts about that community out there in New York and everything like that is I like that there's heavy bells and there's an opportunity for people. A lot of times, you can only get 1 or 2 bells, especially during COVID. There wasn't a lot of bells available to people. And I think that's a real solid that you guys do. And I'll definitely commend you for that. And I think that's like one of the things that when I see those posts and I see the people out there doing it, I really like that aspect about that community and what you guys are offering to everybody. So good on you for that one, man.
I appreciate it.
Anybody else? Yes, sir. Anybody else got a question?
I'll go.
Hit it.
First, I want to say rocking it out with the community stuff. Just New York in general is like such a huge place that can feel very lonely, even though there are a bazillion people there all the time. So what you guys are doing is pretty spectacular. Also, I want to ask, so when did you move into the apparel stuff? Like what inspired that? How did you push for it? Because that's really rad. You're doing I moved out of New York in 2017. And your apparel alone makes me so desperate to go back. I'm like, screw this sunshine. Give me those terrible winters again. I'm just kidding, but not really. Okay, go.
Yeah, and everything that I've along my fitness journey was never really intentional. I kind of just followed the path and the direction things were taking me, and just let things unfold. Apparel started about 4 years ago. About four and a half, when I first got on the social media, and I had other brands ask me, "Hey, you want to wear my shirt?" I'm pretty sure a lot of people have had that happen. Wear my shirt, wear this, and I was just like, no. In my mind, I'm like, your shirt sucks. It doesn't really represent what I'm trying to do, my training style, So out of arrogance and ignorance, I said I can make my own shirt, and I made some bad ones. And I just wore them for me because it was like, I'll just wear it. I'm not going to make a bunch of them. So I'll make 1 or 2 shirts, wear them until I think the 5th shirt was the logo shirt. And ironically, I wore it to a calisthenic competition. And once I posted the video, I had a bunch of DMs about where can they get the shirt. So it kind of just started from there, and then slowly grew from 1 to 2 shirts to where it is now, organically over the past few years. In the past year, I've been doing it full time. Previous 3 was just part time. But it's been a slow growth. It's been fun. I can't complain.
Yeah, I think what's really cool about that in your apparel and stuff like that is the fact that is you actually train with the kettlebells and you do the work, and it's not just some dweeb that's like, I made this shirt, but I don't really know what the shit's going on. So I think that's really cool, and it adds to the appeal of your apparel, my friend.
Yeah, I wanted the apparel to grow with my skill set. When I first started, I was still very, very new. So as designs got better, my kettlebell training got better, my skills got better. So everything was all going on the same journey. I was never really trying to portray anything that I wasn't. I was never really trying to push people on to, hey, buy my stuff. It's great. A lot of the stuff that I do comes from humble arrogance. I do things from a point where I think it's dope. I think it's great. Mm-hmm. If you like it, awesome. You know what I mean? But a lot of the things that I do is just from my perspective on something, because we all have a perspective. We can all watch a sunset and see different things. You can look at the Mona Lisa and see different details than someone else would. So when you try and do something, I always try and say, what's your perspective on it? Even with kettlebell training or even coaching somebody, your perspective can be different from somebody else. And it's always good to be unique to your perspective and also be open to what other people have to say.
A follow-up question on that. Can we get a shirt with Mona Lisa swinging a kettlebell?
Actually, probably Mona Lisa in the getup, I think, would be a little more apropos, right? So
that could probably happen. I'm not sure how many people would buy it.
I'd buy one.
Yeah, those highfalutins will get at that. I think that was all well said, and I really appreciate that you do keep it 100 with yourself, and like I think that's in music and in art and in t-shirts, or the coaching or whatever it is. That's ultimately what's going to, I think, really drive a real honest success for somebody. And we've been able to watch over the years and see how you've grown and the different shirt styles and just how they're everywhere now. And I give you props on that, man. And I think that's a real solid approach. We have time for one more question if somebody's got one. If not, it's all good too.
Yo. Hey, Alex.
What's up, Jeremy?
This is Jeremy from SoCal Kettlebells. How you doing, man?
What's up, man? How you doing, brother?
Props on all the success. How many drafts did you go to before you got to that legendary logo? And what was that moment like when you were like, that's what I got to do?
It took I think that was probably my fifth design.
Okay.
Yeah, it was the fifth one.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's changed since the original. I got to do I'll put the original in my. I mean, I'll put the bad sketch that I made in my stories, and I'll post the original. It's come a long way because the kettlebell almost looked like a flat top in the original. It was more of a square almost. But
Yeah.
but it's definitely changed over the years. But yeah, once I came up with the logo, and I mean the logo stemmed from a lot of times if I'm going through a design process or anything, I kind of write down what I want to see. Uh, it's almost because I looked at the kettlebell. The kettlebell is dead weight, so I wrote that down as dead weight. And then I was a fan of old cartoons, the black and white Mickey Mouse and Disney cartoons. And every time somebody died, they had the X's on their eyes. Every time they drank the poison, they had the X's on the bottle. So I was just like, okay, that's classic for dead. You put the X's on the eyes. Also, an artist named Kaws, Kaws, street artist, also put X's on projects that he did. So it kind of just stemmed from streetwear, street culture, the X's from vintage cartoons, and also being able so it can translate, not just be so kind of take the edge off of a kettlebell, that it can translate to different people. So I felt that was the best direction to go. But once I found it, it was just a light bulb went off, and it was just all about seeing where it goes. So once I had the logo, I took probably 4 months off of social media and just worked on design because I had no experience at all with any of it. Design, shirt printing process, different inks, different screens, zero. So I took 4 months off of social media and really just worked on that, trying to figure out the process, trying to figure out what other people do, how they got this type of print, water-based ink, plastisol inks, you name it. Just did research on everything.
That's awesome. I could definitely relate. Kind of the same process when I was going, designing my logo. There was definitely an evolution, and then designing the kettlebell, same thing. Like finding which inks work for you, which learning all these different little things as you go through to refine, what you do. And again, congratulations. Everybody loves your stuff. I love your stuff. So keep up the good work, man.
I appreciate it, man. It's fun to do.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, solid stuff. I'll just speak for myself here, Alex, and I learned a ton about you today, and just kind of like I'm really grateful that you came on, and one thing that stuck out, you say you like train the basics, and I know you put this on your stuff, and I'm a firm believer and subscriber to it, that the basics never die. And I think that's solid philosophy to go out on. And if you have anything else you wanna say before we head out, I think that's gonna wrap it for us.
Yeah, I appreciate everybody who tuned in. This is a great conversation we had, and I also want to leave on one thing. Just tapping off what Jeremy said. Success is relative. And what I mean by that is a lot of times we look at a certain benchmark as far as what success should be. I'm a millionaire. I'm success. I have 2 cars. I got a house. Whatever it is, I'm successful. Successful is personal to you. It's your goals, your dreams, and what you strive for. I feel I'm successful because my kids love me. They look up to me. You know what I mean? And when I can make something as far as a shirt that someone likes to wear, I feel like succeeded at something. You know what I mean? I just want people to remember that don't judge your success by someone else's level. or what someone else says, hey, this is supposed to be what successful looks like. You know what I mean? Because a lot of people will sell you that dream or sell you, and you'll always be chasing that carrot the rest of your life. You know what I mean? You can feel successful making $50,000 a year and all your bills are paid. You know what I mean? You got people around you that love you. To me, that's successful. You know what I mean? Some people that are millionaires can't go to the store, can't even shop, or have anxiety about being around other people, you know, because they feel that everybody's trying to take their money from them. Is that really successful? You know, but that's a little long-winded. But like I said, appreciate everybody. That's personal. Success is relative to what you think it is. You know what I mean? Work on leaving an impact. It's the only thing you can leave behind.
Yeah, that's sage stuff, man. Thanks again. And, you know, we do this every week, so feel free to check back whenever you want. It's 1 o'clock on Thursday. I know that's your heavy training day, but you can swing while you listen, you know?
All right, cool. Appreciate it.
All right. Thank you all.
Everybody.
Thanks for everybody chiming in, and we'll see y'all next week.
Thank you.
See ya. Take care.
Thank you.
Bye.